Right then, this is Sharky from SHAR-KADE. So I've been doing a huge update on all the Techno Parrot games and adding some new titles as well. So let's just head into our recoil, because every game is also set up with the recoil. You can have it enabled or disabled. Now these kits are a fully plug and play arcade kit. This one has an RTX 3060 graphics card in, because it's going to be tested throughout 4K monitors. So this unit's going to be fully tested with 4K screens, and then all the games tested through that. So there'll be some reconfiguration to do on those screens. The current screen it's connected to at the moment is a 1080p TV. So both these arcade guns are your true arcade fixed gun kits. They're the guns you'd use for games like Aliens Extermination. You'd find those in the arcade. So any rail shooter games, you would find these guns on those systems. And most rail shooter games work the same way as these guns do. So most of the guns that come with those systems, those true arcade systems, come with these type of guns, which is an analog style gun. So basically I've gone through every game, every system, added all the stuff that can possibly be added. So these guns will only configure a certain way for certain games. Not every game is fully supported, but most games are. There is around 440 something now games that's all supported on here. So we have a gun games collection, light gun games collection. We have a Wii games collection as well. So you have stuff like Resident Evil, Umbrella Chronicles, Target Terror and stuff like that, House of the Dead Overkill, and so on. Let's go down, and we've got Sega Model 2 stuff. We have Sega Naomi gun games, shotgun games. Now Techno Parrot. Techno Parrot is really where this machine shines. Now, if you've ever been in any modern arcade, most of those arcades are real shooter games. There is some like Terminator Salvation that isn't really a real shooter game, but these guns work great as real shooters. And like I say, most of the modern arcade systems aren't like guns themselves. They're actually just these real shooters, analog guns. So I've got some videos to update on this, but I've done all the media and wheel art and other bits and pieces we need. So we've got a nice collection on here. I do have to, it's quite loud, 2 minutes. Let's turn it down. I'll just turn it down a second so I can hear myself talk. Right, so there is a ton of new titles I've added to the Techno Parrot collection. Now they're not all really technically Techno Parrot games. All of them. Some of them are PC games that work through Demol Shooter, and some of them are just their own standalone loading games, and so on. So the different system ones. But I've just got them in a Techno Parrot collection because they're all the modern arcade games. Even House of the Dead Remake, which is a PC version, has the actual arcade mod. So there's an actual arcade mod on there for it. So it looks and feels like a true arcade game. So let's head down. Let's get to the first couple of games, and then we'll go through the list. So this unit is set up. So this unit is set up to Patreon. So it has Patreon activated. It is online. So games like Aliens Armageddon, you can play straight off this unit. Now, if you purchase one of these units, you will have to purchase your own Patreon key, and then you'd have to pay a monthly subscription for those Patreon games, which I'm going to label which games as Patreon, and I might do even a collection of Technoparrot games that are all Patreon Technoparrot games, and so on. At a later date, when they get updated and stuff, they'll become non-Patreon anyways. But at the moment, there's some Patreon games on there, which you do need a Patreon account to play these games. So we have Aliens Armageddon on there. Oh, let's go the other way. We want to go down. We have Aliens Extermination. Now, Aliens Extermination, by default, these guns work for that game. This is the only game you don't need to activate the recoil to play this game correctly with true recoil. There is simulated recoil and true recoil. Now, simulated recoil is where I input some keys, tell it to kick back the recoil, whether it's a single shot, burst shot, or rapid shot, and then that will simulate recoil in a game. It's not 100% throughout all games, because some games you change weapons and then you have a single shot gun or a rapid fire gun. I've had a little workaround on those type of games, so if you're doing a single shot, you just press the trigger, and there's a bit of a delay when you hold the trigger, so there's a couple of milliseconds delay, then it'll kick in rapid fire. That's perfect if you're cycling through single shot and then you change to a rapid shot, and then you would naturally hold the trigger for the rapid shot guns. So that's a little workaround. It gives it a bit more true feel to the game. But like I say, Aliens Extermination, that works without having to activate the recoil on the system's menu. So we have Big Buck Hunter Pro. Now this is a game that takes a little while to load, but it's pretty good for what it is. Unless you've got an actual shotgun, you can't get the true feel out of Big Buck Hunter, but it's still pretty good with the fixed gun kit. We have a new game called Block King Ball Shooter. It is what it is. It's like a kid's version of a game, where your kids shoot a game. It was all right. I played a little bit of that. We have Beyond. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Not a kid-style shooter. We also have Castlevania, the arcade. That's all set up now with both guns, loads in correctly and everything. So we've got that all sorted. We have Dark Escape 4D. Now this is a System 57375 or whatever it is system. So it's not a true Technoparrot game, but this is another one that's also set up with all the recoil, rapid fire recoil. We have Deadstone Pirates Special Edition on there also. That works perfect with these guns. Simulated recoil works just like true recoil, to be honest. You hold down the trigger, it's rapid fire, and it seems to be just the right sweet spot for the rapid fire on it. And on the left and right hand side of the unit, you do have pinball buttons, which work as your wheel on screen. And there's another game coming up that also you can use the left and right buttons to move the wheel on the screen as well. Now, I was thinking of putting a spinner on a unit, but I don't think it would match a Sega Golden Gun design. I was going to put a spinner on there and then have that act as a wheel, so you could just spin the spinner. Let's head to the next game. Now we have Elevator Action Death Parade on there. I've got a bezel just to tweak for that game, because it's just a little bit exposed around the screen area, which I'm going to edit the bezel, re-edit the bezel for that. We have Elevator Action Invasion. Now that game is a Patreon game also. We have Far Cry Paradise Lost. We have Friction. Now I think this is quite an old game. I think it's been out quite a while, and I'd never seen it before. And I come across it and added it to the setup. So all the recoil works perfect on there. We have Gaia Attack 4. We have Haunted Museum. Haunted Museum 2 was a game that broke a while back. And now have that re-added. So we now have Haunted Museum 2. That is on here. It won't be on my drives yet till I finish the 32 terabyte for the 32 terabyte builds, but it will be on the Shark shooters, and then I'll update as we go. We have House of the Dead 4 Special. I don't know why that's in there. I'd have to change the name of that to put it down in the T's for the House of the Dead. We have Let's Go Island. We have Let's Go Jungle. We have Lethal Enforcers 3, I believe is another Patreon game. We have Lost Land Adventure on there now. We have Luigi's Mansion. We have Mobile Suit Gundam Spirits of Zion, or Zion, I'd imagine it is. We also have Music Gun Gun 2. We have Night Hunter. Now, Night Hunter is another quality rail shooter game. Basically, that you can allocate the left and right pinball to move the wheel on the game itself. So when you get a notification to move the wheel, you just press your left or right, whichever button it is, and then that will activate you as your button press. We have Operation Ghost on there. We have Primeval Hunt. Sorry. This game isn't working at the moment. I might have to just re-download this game and give it another test. But I believe this is a Patreon game as well. But I'm going to get that fixed. I'm going to do some tests tonight to try and fix this game. So that will be another game added. We have Rabbits Hollywood. We have Rambo. We have Sailor Zombie. We have Dream Raiders. Sega Golden Gun, obviously, goes perfect with the design. I've actually added 2 new rails of gold on the side there, saying player 2, and then on the left hand side, player 1. We have Silent Hill, the arcade. We have Star Trek Voyager, which I always believed it was a flight shooter, bit like Star Wars Battle Pod, but it's not. It's an actual shooter, which, to be honest, it's not a very good game. It's all right to add on there, but it's nothing special. We have Target Terror, Gold. We have Terminator Salvation, another Patreon game. So you need the Patreon account to run this game. We have House of the Dead 3. Now, House of the Dead 3 had my brain spangled for quite a while. For some reason, it just wasn't working right. I couldn't get Demol Shooter to work with it correctly. It was a right pain in my backside. So I'll just load that up there. And one issue I kept running across as well, I couldn't get it into full screen at one point. It just wasn't going into full screen. Like I say, I had Demol Shooter on there. It just wasn't speaking to Demol Shooter for some reason. And I can't even remember how I fixed it. It just started working when I was tinkering around. But it took me quite a while to get this game working, because this is one of the House of the Dead games that what I was missing, basically, because I had House of the Dead 1, 2, 4, Scarlet Dawn, and so on. So as you can hear, it is a shotgun game, so you got single shot on this game. I can't do this one-handed because you do have a reload. Just hit the reload there. As you can hear, you have the full recoil there. So let's head down. We have House of the Dead 4. We have House of the Dead AX. This was another game that wasn't loading in correctly, so I'm going to try and fix this one tonight and get this game working. We have House of the Dead Remake. Now, I didn't know there was a arcade patch for this, and I also didn't know there was a Demol Shooter patch for it as well. I didn't know it was working through Demol Shooter. I knew there was a gun for IR patch, or one where you could allocate the guns and stuff like that, but now it works fully with the 2 fixed light guns. Wait, 2 fixed rail guns. And with the arcade patch, it seems to load quicker as well, the game. So as you can hear there, I'll just try and do this one-handed. Just skip that. So like I say, it's perfect. Games like House of the Dead, which are single shot, with the single shot recoil. So it's like having your own arcade that you'd find in the arcades in your home. Basically, you can get gun for IR guns for these setups. I'm going to do a gun for IR setup at some point. The gun for IR guns are quite expensive themselves. To buy a two-player kit, it can get quite costly. The fixed light gun games, like I say, the fixed guns, they do work better really for the rail shooter games. When it comes to rail shooter games, they're absolutely perfect because that's what they were designed for, those type of games. Games like House of the Dead there, when you're using two hands, is fine as well. Perfectly fine. Feels great to play with. It doesn't give you too much of a disadvantage than what it would if you had a light gun itself. Because there's not much space, screen space area to move between on the game, and the characters and stuff in the game are quite central as you're playing. Most of them are quite central. It works really well. Put it that way, it works extremely well. So let's head down. We have House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn. We have Tomb Raider. We have Transformers Human Alliance. We have Too Spicy, which I've just set up there. And what's that? Wartran Troopers. And we have Wild West Shootout. Now, Wild West Shootout was another game that I did struggle with getting set up. I had issues with it not speaking to D-Mul shooter. But I got there in the end. And I think Raymond at Orpec Electronics helped us with this as well. So this game actually has single shot and like a rapid shot. But it's a slower rapid shot. So I haven't got it as fast as most of the games. So if you hear there, it's a slightly slower rapid fire. And it works just right for this game. So we do have a reload on there. So that works just right. It's just that sweet spot of that recoil and shooting. Because it's a slower shooting game. I think that's it. I'm sure I may have added one or two more. I'll have to double check just to make sure. They might just not be showing up on the menu. But ton of new titles on there. These units, custom units, cost from 2,500. The cost of the parts that's inside, the small form factor PC parts and all that stuff to run these is quite costly. So I don't use these mini PCs, these little mini PCs. I use mini ITX motherboards as well as full-sized GPUs. So the smaller not the small form factor GPUs, but the smaller version. So you've got the RTX 3060, which you get the single fan card, but they're not they're not for small form factor machines. They're for big machines, basically, ATX units. So please like, share, subscribe to the videos, hit that notification bell. What I'll do as well is I'll try and get a video just before the wedding of this whole unit, take some pictures and so on. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.